This is the best of the week on Relevant Radio.
How about Ken now in Kewanee, Wisconsin? Hello, Ken.
Hello. My question is, a Saturday night before Easter, when people come into the church, the sponsors of these people, they must be in good standing in the church with the 5 precepts of the church, is what my understanding is. What do you think about that?
Right. Well, the answer is yes. And I guess the best way I could put it is that the church has certain requirements for being godparents, for example. That's maybe the first kind of sponsorship or the role of being a sponsor that anybody has. And so the church requires that for those who want to be godparents, that they have to fulfill certain criteria. And it's really very simple, actually. Canon 874 in the church's canon law stipulates these things. But to summarize, you have to be at least 16, you have to be a baptized Catholic, and you have to have completed your own sacraments of receiving the Holy Eucharist and confirmation. You can't be, in this case, we're talking here about the child being baptized or the person being baptized. And this may or may not extend to those who are coming into the church. And there are different ways in which they come into the church. Some are catechumens because they've never been baptized. Others have been baptized. They need to receive their other sacraments. But regardless of that, that may also be part of this. But you can't be the parent of the child being baptized. And if you're married as a sponsor or a godparent, you have to be married in the Catholic Church, and you have to be living, honestly making an effort to live a good Catholic life, which means things like going to Mass every Sunday. You can't have 2 people who are not eligible to be married living together. Things like that. So they're just very basic requirements in order to be a godparent. And although being a sponsor of someone who's going to be confirmed is not exactly the same thing, it's similar. And I think it's similar enough that these requirements would apply to them. So I'm sure you probably have some situation specifically in mind, but those are the basic parameters that the church requests of people who want to fulfill this role.
Yes, I'm teaching OCIA, and one of my pupils, I believe she just turned 20, has not even been baptized, but she said she's got a sponsor, and her sponsor, I believe she said her uncle, is married in the church and baptized, but does not really go to Mass much, she said. So I'm not sure what to do with that. I mean, I can't be judging, his standing in the church, really, but if I know that he's not going to church much, that's not really fulfilling the 5 precepts of the church then either.
Right. And that's maybe a briefer way of saying what I was trying to say earlier, that in order to be a sponsor, you're acting in the role of a guide. You're encouraging, you're helping, you're assisting, and you're guiding this person coming to the church. So she would be, if she's reached the stage in her formation, a catechumen because she's never been baptized. But it just makes sense that if you're going to be a guide to somebody coming into the church, that you yourself are actively living a Catholic life. And so if he wants to be a guide for her, he should be going to Mass and living a Catholic life. Otherwise, what is he guiding her to? Is it just a ceremonial role? If he understands the seriousness of the situation and his role as a guide and an encourager, then I should think that it would make him want to become fully Catholic himself. And that way he can guide her in the right direction. But maybe he doesn't realize that this is not something that's merely ceremonial. It could be that he just doesn't know. And I'm honored that you would ask me to be your sponsor. That's really great. What do I have to do? Well, nothing. You just have to attend a Mass here or there. So it could be simply that. I mean, he may just not understand the role itself, but perhaps that's where you come in, Ken. Maybe you can, gently, politely, respectfully point out some of these things, and maybe do it in the context of the class that you teach, where nobody feels as though this is being directed at him or her specifically. You're just sharing information,
I will do that.
Okay. Yeah, we want to be respectful of people. We want to be compassionate, and we don't want to run somebody off or anything like that. And the best thing, it seems to me, would be if he realized, oh, I'm being called to resume a sincere practice of my Catholic faith. This could be a great win for him, to come back to that. That'd be great.
Maybe I'll get a twofer.
Wouldn't
get him
that be
back
great?
to the church. You guys do a great job pray for you guys all the time. So
I appreciate that,
good.
Ken. Yeah, thank you. You can join me by listening to The Patrick Madrid Show on the Relevant Radio app, live each weekday at 8 to 11 a.m. And thanks for listening.